Welcome to David at Go To Hobbies. We're going to talk about pulleys, different sizes, and what we need to do with them for making a stone tumbler. When I first started this, I realised I knew that I'm going to need to work out all the speeds that these pulleys are going to turn at, and to find out the correct speed of rotation of the drum for tumbling rocks and stones. It soon became apparent that a lot of people had the same problem as what I had, and that was trying to find information. So I decided to do a lot of research, and in my research I found two very useful websites where you can put your calculations in and get your speed of your pulleys and diameter of your pulleys and work all that out. The first one I'm going to give you, when I find it, he says, is a website called www.vcalc.com. Recalc. They're very good. I use them quite a lot. And the other one is the Engineering Toolbox. So their web address is www.engineeringtoolbox.com. Both sites are .com. Now, going back to VCalc. If you know the motor speed, it should be on the side of the motor. It will tell you how many revolutions you've got per minute. Now, I'll explain to you the problems I had in the beginning. I needed a motor that was probably geared down, and the reason why I say geared down, it will give me more power output for less wattage. So I've bought a motor that was 25 watt of power consumption or usage, and it was it could lift 25 kilograms because of the gearing on the motor, which is quite a lot for a little motor. But when you think about what you're doing with it, you're tumbling drums. You don't want a motor that's going to use too much power, but you don't want a motor that's going to use too little power, because if you're using a motor that's using too little power, you'll end up burning it out or causing a fire. Then you've got more problems. So you need to find something that's going to be adequate for the job you need it for. So how do you know what motor to buy for stone tumbling? So first of all, I looked at what other stone tumblers are on the market, what motors they were using, what other stone tumbler builders have done, DIYers, and some were a bit over the top. Some were a bit dangerous, to say the least, because if you're going to make a stone tumbler, you've got to think about safety, and safety is the paramount thing here, because you're dealing with live electricity, 240 volts in the UK. I know you have a 13 amp fuse in it, but it doesn't mean you're only getting 13 amps through there. You're getting a lot more amps than you actually realise. Actually runs into thousands, and probably a lot more than that. But the fuse is there as a safety precaution. Now, I had two trains of thought with the safety side of things. One, I bought a dull switch, which is I forgot the name, sorry. It's basically, it's a stop start switch where if the power cuts off from the mains, the motor won't restart because it isolates it. Basically, it's like there's like a mechanism inside with a magnet, and as soon as that power goes, the magnet comes across, which breaks the circuit, which is a good safety factor. Also, I need to think about overload of the motor. of the overloading the motor through drawing too much current by the amount of stones it's tumbling. So, excuse me, I'm just going to put my folder back over there while I talk to you about this. So, on the aspect of safety, always remember that if you're not sure, seek advice. Come to me and I'll do my best to help you. I'm not going to be 100% right all the time, but I can give you my advice and try and help you the best I can. So if you do have any problems, drop me a message down below in the comments and I'll do my best to help you. Going back to pulleys and doing these calculations and the motor, originally I wanted to do this video about pulleys, but I think we've got to really address the safety aspect first, and that is you're dealing with mains electricity. You're running this somewhere on your property. It's going to make a bit of noise, and one of the things you've got to be careful of is annoying your neighbours, because it'll be going either 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, month in, month out for a few months. And they do make a bit of noise, and they're rattling around, grinding these stones down, and it can be annoying. So take that into consideration. You might want to put it on a timer, so you're working it, say, 6 hours a day. Yes, it might take you longer, but one, you stay friends with your neighbours, unless you don't like your neighbours, and your partner, your wife, boyfriend, whoever, right? So you don't really want it running through the night, because unless it's in an outbuilding and it's not going to bother you, or you're not bothered by the noise, that's your choice. Me personally, I'll put a timer on there so I restrict its running time, purely and simply because of my wife and dogs, and because they'll probably start barking when it starts running, because they got like radar ears. Anyway, moving back to where we're saying safety aspect. As I say, 240 volts, don't mess about with it. If you're not sure what you're doing, leave a comment below and I'll try and help you out. Now, because you've come to my channel, you're obviously interested in stone tumbling and leopardry, so I'm going to do my best to help you. We was originally talking about pulleys and a couple of websites I've given you. Now, obviously for me, I know what my calculations are. So if you got to remember a couple of things. One, what size drum you're using. You measure it across the diameter. You put that in, right, as one of your calculations. And this is the last stage in it. I'm working back to go to the first one, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Because then you've got your shaft that drum is running on. As I explained a little while ago, my my shaft is a threaded bar, and there's a few reasons why I decided to do it this way. And that threaded bar has got a bit of hose pipe on it, which the drum will attach to. That acts as another pulley. So you've got the drum acts as a pulley, you've got the shaft with the hose pipe on, that acts as another pulley. So you've got two pulleys there. So what, those two won't alter. That is a given fact. So you know that the drum is one size and the shaft is another. You're not going to alter the distance than that. You don't really want to start messing about with that. What you want to do is remember, you can't alter those ideally, because that is the end product, right? So I'm working back. If you can't do it with, say, a motor with a pulley driving the shaft that the drum sits on, which the drum will sit on attached to the bit of hose pipe, as I was saying. If you can't do that, you can't get your speed down or up, whatever it may be, you need to put another bearing in line. So, a set of pulleys in line attached to each other, and I'll show you how to do that in another video. So you've got another increase in speed or decrease in speed. For my tumbler, it turned at 70 RPM, and I was first working it out, and I thought, how do I get this 70 down to 40 revolutions? And I was thinking about it the wrong way. And the reason why I was thinking about it the wrong way, instead of decreasing the speed, I needed to increase the speed. And the reason why I had to increase the speed, because the shaft that the motor was sitting on had to spin faster, because if it didn't, the drum would turn slower. Because it's a bigger diameter, the little shaft has to spin faster to get the speed you require. So working all this out, so I needed the motor pulley, which is number one, onto another shaft with two pulleys on, so that becomes 1, 2, 3. Then the shaft that the motor the drum sits on, where that first set up the motor connects to two sets of pulleys, which one two different sizes. So you're going from a big pulley to a small pulley to a big pulley to another small pulley to increase the speed for my calculations. So there and then I understood that I had to increase my speed. So my calculations will be different to yours, but I'm just trying to give you the principle behind it. You need to work out, if you can't do it with a limited amount of pulleys, if you haven't got the space, then you have to put another set of pulleys in to bring the speed up or down, or whatever you may want to make it. You can use, if you're sitting your stone tumbler on a higher bracket, you can put a bigger pulley in. But I'm just saying, I'm trying to work this out so it's more cost effective for someone that's on limited money. You can make things yourself, which is going to cost you next to nothing, but just having a bit of time and patience. I mean, we've all got bits of tools lying around. You utilize what you got. If you haven't got a 12mm drill and you've got a 10mm drill, you buy yourself a bit of M10 threaded bar. You don't have to use 12mm, but your calculations will alter because you're using a smaller diameter. So there we go. So I've gone from the motor to another pulley to another pulley, that's 3, to the shaft pulley, which is 4, to the 15.5mm of the hose pipe driving the drum. So it becomes, hang on, lose myself here. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I've got it right. 6 pulleys in effect. So you've got to calculate. For me, I needed a speed on the first set of pulleys about 300 revolutions per minute. So the way I got that was to go from a 58mm down to a 29, and then from a 29mm pulley up to whatever it was, bear with me, I'll tell you. Just let me find it. Wrong page. Sorry about this. It's all the fun of learning. Right, so where was we? So my motor pulley was 58mm. My what I class as a spare shaft. So it's a shaft between that and the shaft what the drum sits on. So that one had a 29mm pulley. Attached to that, glued together, was a 68mm pulley. so on that shaft. So that was one belt going to that one, another belt going to the shaft of the which the drum sat on. So then that shaft, that 68mm to the drive shaft of the drum, that pulley there was 32mm, right? As I said earlier, the threaded bar was with a hose pipe was 15.5mm. So that is another calculation. That acts as a pulley itself, and then you got the stone tumbler drum, which was 114mm. That acted another pulley. So for me, I've managed to get a 70 revolution motor turning per minute to 40 revolutions per minute. And the good thing about the apps, it will work out the speed of the rotation of the shafts for you. So it will tell you, like, your first motor, say the motor you've got, what revolutions it is. Say it's my one was 70, right? You put that in, then you put your shaft, your pulley size, and then it'll give you what the speed is at the end of it, and then you can go to your next pulley and work your calculations all the way down. For me, what I found was on my from my main motor pulley to my spare shaft was 140 revolutions per minute. Then on to the tumbler shaft pulley, right, which was attached to the 29mm, was 68, right? Attached to the shaft which the drum was on, that was, as I say, that was a 32mm. So that was turning at 297.5 revolutions per minute. So it was obviously an increase, but just over the factor of 2. So it had been 280 twice, so 17 on top of that. Anyway, so the shaft that was driven with a hose pipe on, and the drum, I got that revolution speed to 40.45 revolutions per minute by working all my calculations out. So whatever you want to do, you can work out your motor speed to your driven shafts with your pulleys, and you can work out the calculations to what size pulleys you need by using these apps. I know what I did, and mine will be different to yours, but in this video it's about, I know it's a bit longer than I anticipated, but I've got a few things to cover, so which was about safety and then what the pulley sizes you're going to use. For me, I wanted to do it as what I could afford, and by using wood, which is easily available and easy to manipulate, I could shape and get a grooves in. So I've made my own pulleys, which cost me would have cost me a lot of money to buy off eBay or somewhere else or another manufacturer. You could probably talk anything from, I don't know, £6 or £7 a pulley upwards to about, I don't know, 20 or 30 quid maybe per pulley, depends on the size you go to, even more than that probably. But the other problem you're going to have is the shaft size, because you might have it the right outside diameter with a pulley there, but you won't have enough bore size to fit on your motor or your shaft. So that's another thing you've got to take into consideration. So by doing it my way, what the benefit is, you get to choose the size of the bore of your pulley, You get to choose the diameter of your pulley, and you can make it all yourself, and it'll be a damn sight cheaper, and you've achieved something yourself by doing this. Any questions, please let me know in the comments below. But this is just a general start of the making of the stone tumbler. There's a lot of things to take into consideration when you're actually making a stone tumbler, but it's easier watching these videos where they said they've made this and they've made that and they've done this and they've done that, but how much have they given you of the technical stuff and the ways to do it? I wanted to be a bit different in the respect of like being more thorough and trying to help you as much as I can, because no disrespect to anyone else, they've done what they've done and they've built their own stone tumbler, but I wanted to show you the nitty-gritties and how you actually go about making all these bits to put it all together and get the end product as your own stone tumbler that you've made yourself, which you can be proud of, and it's cost you not as much as a manufacturer's one. Another little thing is making your own drums as well. I'll be using soil pipe. Now, one of the things you can do, you can buy the caps from them from a lapidary shop or a lapidary supplier, but there is companies out there that actually make end caps, and you will find them a lot cheaper than paying 12 or 13 pound for 2 caps. It's a lot cheaper out there, I'll tell you, and they do exactly the same thing and a fraction of the price. So for all this is long, horses for courses, the old saying goes. But as I say, thank you for coming to my YouTube channel. If you've got any questions, please put them below, and if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. At least let me know what I've done wrong and what you did like or what you didn't like. Anything you want me to do, talk about, I'm here to do it. And part of the journey of making this stone tumbler is to cover the bits in thoroughly as possible. When you make your own stone tones, get me right in a minute. Make your own stone tumbler. You might make it the same as me, or you make your own one, whatever you decide, but I can give you the basis to where you want to start with, and if you want to follow me or what I'm doing, great, you'll have a stone tumbler at the end of it. So I will teach you every step of the way, but this is sort of more of an introduction into it and the thinking behind it and stuff like that. I wanted to do this because a lot of people just say, "Oh, there we go, it's done. It runs at this speed. I've done that." But what? I know I'm repeating myself a little bit, but what about how did you do that? How did you do that? Where did you get this from? Where did you get that from? What's the best thing to use? Well, I did notice one thing I will mention to you, and that is power supply and safety. I looked at this two ways. Obviously, as I say, you're dealing with mains electricity, you can't be too safe with it. You need to take precautions and you need to make sure what you're doing is as safe as possible. I keep emphasizing this, and it's very important. You don't get a second chance with electricity. If you do, he's looking after you, but don't take risks. It's just not worth it. I must emphasize that. And obviously the safety factors is so important. I'm not trying to put you off. It's just that when you're doing things like this with DIY, don't be silly, be sensible. Think about, am I doing this the safest way? Yeah, common sense here, common sense. Now going back and just to recap, so another video will be actually on the parts we're actually making, and I will give you the measurements and stuff like that to give you the basis to what you can make to start with. So the next video will be, or one of the next videos will be on something similar, and I might make it actually, I might make the video on how I made the base for it to start you off, to get you the grounded, the basics of it, and then you can actually, just very briefly, you can actually decide on what size you want to make it. But you remember one thing, the bigger you make it, right, the more space you're going to need, the bigger the motor, lots of things come into calculations, and it's going to cost you more money. So if you start small, get the basics out of the way, and then you can progress to something bigger. So always start with the easiest way first, and that is perhaps start small and then make something again. And we can go to another project later on down the line where I'll make an actually bigger one that will be following in the near future. But thank you for watching, and I hope you've learned something from this. I enjoyed making this video because it helps you decide about the ways to make pulleys and the calculations and the websites you can go to and the apps you can use on your phone or you can use it on your computer. Both are user friendly, but don't be afraid, have a go at it and start. Another good tip to help you with this is get yourself a notepad and a pen and write it down, because what happens if you're anything like me, you forget, and then you think to yourself, how did I do that? What was that calculation? I've forgotten. But if you write it down, you remember, you see, and it will help you later down the line. You can go back and look at your notes, and then you can think to yourself, that's where that was there, or that was that. Just a little hip help. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you for stopping by to see me at David at Go To Hobbies, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care for now. See you soon. Bye bye.